Hey guys, and welcome to this week's Nerdy Harry Channel podcast. I'm Joey.
And I'm Anthony.
All right, guys, we're going to do just something different tonight than we normally do. We're just going to devote all of our time to the Game of Thrones season finale just because it was so freaking awesome. And there's a lot to talk about from this past season and really just the last couple episodes. And then we'll probably give our opinions and maybe our little predictions for what next season is going to be like. So let's go ahead and get started.
Rock and roll. Let's do it.
All right, Anthony. So I read today that they have basically confirmed that there is only 13 episodes left. There will be 2 seasons of 13 episodes total, and that's it. So we are on the downward trend now of the end of Game of Thrones. Yeah, I know, but, I like where it's going. They've done a really good job of, especially this season, since they've broken away from the books, to actually get us to a point. Because actually, if you really stop and think about it, in my opinion, it felt like it was starting to get a little stale, and this season just really shot a lot of juice back into the storyline. And I'm excited for it to be over with now, but sad at the same time.
Well, see, I would only disagree and say that I felt like last season was the shot in the arm for it. I really loved where last season went with Tyrion getting there with Daenerys. That was an interesting dynamic. Now, this season, I will admit, was probably my favorite season. Absolutely. It was my favorite season. But, I hate I hate to know that there's the light at the end of the tunnel, the sad light at the end of the tunnel. But the show's amazing. And if this past Sunday is any indication what we have to look forward to for the next 2 seasons, the shortened seasons, I can't wait. I think it's going to be awesome.
That's great. I agree with that for the most part. Yeah, you're right. Last season was the shot in the arm, but I think it was really late in the season before you actually saw that. But I don't disagree with you. I just think that this season really, I was starting to get bored with Game of Thrones, even though I loved it.
Really?
Yeah, I know that sounds weird. Within the last 3 or 4 episodes last year, I was like, okay. We're doing good. I think the shortened seasons, to finish up on that point, I think the shortened seasons will actually be a good thing. And we can get into that later about what we think will happen when we do our predictions.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And, dude, I just can't freaking wait to talk about this past Sunday.
Oh, I know. Well, here we go.
All right, let's rock and roll.
All right, so let's go ahead and, with the huge reveal, let's go ahead and get that out of the way. Let's hit everybody with a bomb here. I'm hoping that you've watched this past Sunday's episode if you're listening to this. If
spoilers.
If not, I'm not going to tell you spoiler. Don't listen to it. But because that's what this show's about, guys.
Exactly.
So we found out that finally the fan theory has been confirmed. Jon Snow is absolutely not a bastard child of Ned Stark. It was basically proven that he is definitely the daughter of Lyanna Stark, who is Ned's sister, and she was promised to Robert Baratheon as well. She basically was the Helen of Troy. She started the war, in a sense, between the Targaryens and the Baratheons.
And let's give a little background on that, before we get started into this, because there's some pretty heavy stuff going on here. So, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Joey, but basically to set this up, Lyanna was promised to Robert Baratheon, correct?
Correct.
Okay, awesome. So, but Rhaegar, we don't know if he raped her or if they wed secretly or what's going on here, but he took Lyanna, and Ned Stark went to go rescue his sister, okay? And in this, we get Jon Snow.
Absolutely. Yeah, I see where you're going with that. From her reaction on when he got into the Tower of Joy and found her bleeding to death from like maybe a cesarean or a birth gone wrong. We didn't really see exactly what was happening, but there was a lot of blood. She was dying, and he knew it, and she knew it. She whispers in his ear, and I'm going to touch on that in just a second. There's been a Reddit user named Radar that has actually listened to it about 50 times, and he's enhanced the audio. So I've got a big thing here for you. I don't know if it's 100% true.
Benji, what are you doing down there?
But it would make sense.
Mom, I'm busy.
Remember, she whispers in his ear something, and then she begs him to take care of him and to hide him from Robert. Okay? That is told everybody for the most part, and again, this is all theoretical, that she wasn't raped by Rhaegar. They were lovers at the very least. I don't think they went and got married, but I think she loved Rhaegar.
Okay.
And then, of course,
Yeah, I think what's going to be really interesting about all this too is, well, not what's going to be. Well, what's interesting is that Ned put it all on the line. I mean, he had to basically go back and tell his wife, "Hey, yeah, I was with somebody else, and this is my son through somebody else. So yeah, deal with it."
I think that comes down to the fact that Ned set out to save his sister and he couldn't. So the next best thing he could do was save her son from Robert Baratheon, because Robert Baratheon would have had him killed if he was a Targaryen, which he absolutely is.
Yeah, and it's his blood, like you said. It's his blood, so he can't have...
Exactly, yeah. I mean...
And he knows Robert better than anybody, and he knows what...
Best friends. I mean, he knows Robert would have killed him, would have killed Jon Snow, who became Jon Snow, the baby. And, you know, guys, they didn't 100% confirm it, but... What I'm about to tell you next and bring up in a minute is probably did confirm it, at least in the 90% range, because Rhaegar probably most likely is his father. And also that would make him...
Actually, it has been confirmed in that diagram that I was telling you about before we got on air.
There you go, yeah. I was getting
in the diagram, HBO, I don't know, accidentally or on purpose, posted this diagram, which basically... showed that Rhaegar and Lyanna are his parents. So HBO's confirmed it. So.
And that would make, guys, too, we'll touch on this a little more later, but I'll just mention it right here. That would make Daenerys Targaryen, Jon Snow's aunt.
Right, because and I had to confirm this with you. So basically, what's going on here? All right, are you with us? Okay, so Aerys, am I pronouncing that right? Aerys, the Mad King?
Yes, Aerys.
Okay.
I think that's how you say it.
I hope so. We're going with that. Aerys is Daenerys' father, all right? So Daenerys and Rhaegar and the other brother who was killed in like season 1 or season 2 are all brothers and sisters here. So if Rhaegar obviously has a child, then that would make, his aunt Daenerys. So that's how it works there. I hope that's not confusing. It was to me at first, but Joey helped me through it. So appreciate that, Joey.
No problem. So that clears up that little thing. And, of course, that's been a theory for the past 3 or 4 or 5 years now on Game of Thrones. So it wasn't a huge surprise for the people that follow the show, but it was nice to hear finally and to see it be confirmed on the show. Moving on from that. What I was telling you about the guy from Reddit today, Games Radar is his name. He has found what he believes to be the true name of Jon Snow.
Larry. Is it Larry?
You would be incorrect, sir.
Larry Targaryen. Go ahead.
What Games Radar said is that after listening to the enhanced audio of the scene where Lyanna whispers to Ned, John's real name is, and I may butcher this, but I'm going to try to do my best. His name is Jaehaerys. Okay, that's spelled Jaehaerys. It looks like Jaehaerys, Targaryen. She tells him his name. That's what she named John. The last 2 men now in the books, it says the last 2 men to have this name had sat on the Iron Throne and were actually good and wise rulers. Okay, so it makes sense as to why Rhaegar would want to choose that name for his son. And so, that would make sense. And then, of course, since he swore to protect Jon from Robert Baratheon's wrath, so to speak,
right,
he changes his name to something that doesn't sound so Targaryen, and he changes it to Jon, just so he can hide him from Robert. Because if he start calling him Jaehaerys, which was a Targaryen name, then any fool would see that, oh, he must be a Targaryen kid. We need to kill him. Because that was a Targaryen name. Because you have to remember, the Targaryens hail from Valyria, where, Valyrian steel comes from. Okay? And so it's an old family and an old name. That was something else I did a little research on. And that was like a week or so ago. So they come from the old, which is across the narrow sea, like not exactly where Daenerys is right now, but it's on that other continent. It's not just Westeros. There's more to the world than there. It's just all we just get to see that little bit. But earthquakes and things destroyed various, and that's why Valyria. And that's why Valyrian steel is, the swords are so rare because no one makes them anymore.
Wow, that's some pretty deep stuff there, man.
There you go.
That's a whole nother level. I want to ask you about something because I was reading about this afternoon. All right, so what is the deal with, and by the way, I'm sorry if the microphone sounds back and forth. We're still working with this, so hopefully you guys, it sounds okay. But what I want to ask you is, what is the deal with A Song of Ice and Fire? What is that about? Is that a name?
Okay, now it's funny you bring it up because I've got that written down right here.
Great.
Okay. All right, so, and me and a friend of mine talked about this the other day. You know, the book, I actually won trivia last night at Hooligans, by the way, if anybody was there. Woohoo, yay, that Team John and Joe, we did it again. But this was an actual question. You know, there's the Game of Thrones TV show was based on a series of books. What's the name of the series of books? And it's A Song of Ice and Fire. All right. It came to me last night or Sunday night talking to a friend, and then I thought about it more tonight and today. I think that it refers to Jon Snow. And this is why. If he is truly a Targaryen and he's truly a Stark, which he actually is now, we know that, then he is a union of ice and fire.
Yes. Okay, because the Starks from the north, the winter and the whole thing.
Targaryens
the fire,
are dragons.
The dragons. Ah, genius.
It's like it all makes sense now. From the beginning, we never knew it, but Jon, the bastard child of Ned Stark, ends up being the hero and the guy who saves everybody, which is where they're taking him. Even though he may never sit on the Iron Throne, he's been preaching for 2 seasons or 3 seasons that winter is coming and it's bringing the White Walkers with it. We need to be ready. But no one wants to listen to him. Very few people actually believe him about this. They think, oh, no, the wall will protect us, blah, 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 blah. But I think the whole series of books is basically about him. Whether he saves everyone or not, that just remains to be seen. But he may die a tragic death saving everybody. He may just save everybody and then live on happily ever after. Who knows? But
yeah, I think what's going to happen is I don't see Jon. I see the last episode being Jon kind of going away and no, I mean like dying. I think he's going to die his death, you know, because that's what's supposed to be done.
And he's cheated death already with being brought back by the Lord of Light. So I mean, so yeah, that would make sense that now he has a purpose.
Hold on, that's if the Lord of Light is real here.
If it's real, yeah. I mean,
Davos would disagree with you on the Lord of Light.
The Starks would disagree with that too because they believe in the old gods. So I mean, you know.
Okay, and so I don't know if you have this in the note. I'm sure you do have this in the notes. Is it okay to go ahead and start talking about that, about the issue with Davos and the Lord of the Light, or is that you want to save that for later?
Well, I do have that written down.
Okay, let's save that for later then. Let's
something like it anyway.
Okay,
yeah.
no, but we'll save that for later. So,
okay.
What else you got here?
All right, so the next big thing is, and this happened at the very first episode. Let me ask you, was that not the best opening of any of the episodes they've ever had, where hardly anything is said? And you have that nice piano score that just really builds up the momentum for that first 20, 25 minutes of the show until we get the big finish.
Okay, it was great. But, okay, I'm going to say but here. I'm going to be that guy. I would have been okay if they had extended it out the entire episode. I hated seeing such an amazing, cool, all these great things happening in the first, 10, 15 minutes. But it was great. It was amazing. But as far as, editing and stuff, that would have been so great just to have Cersei sitting on the throne. I mean, don't get me wrong, that was what was done anyways, but I just felt like it was really
it was at
great.
The end when she did that.
Yeah, I agree. You're right, it was. But I just felt like, I don't know, I hated getting all that so quickly. I would have loved to have it spread out throughout the episode. It was a really great beginning.
Well, let's talk about what we're talking about, I guess.
Okay.
Because we haven't really said what we're talking about. So
Jon dies again.
Yeah, Jon dies again. No, Cersei. It's like I said. I mean, Cersei has finally went bye, guys. She has lost it completely. She blows up the Sept with all of her enemies basically in it, and a lot of innocent people as well, because they're there. The whole High Council is there of the Septon, and she basically kills the High Sparrow and Marjorie. With the wildfire that it was underneath the Sept that had been stored there from when the Mad King Aerys Targaryen was going to use it.
I call it the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ooze.
Yeah, it does look like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ooze, yeah. Was that not funny, though, when I can't remember what his name is, but the dude that worked for the High Sparrow, the cousin
Cersei, yeah.
He's crawling towards the candles, and he's trying to blow it out, and then, explosion.
That was great. They should have done in that crawl. Would have been great to have Candle in the Wind playing.
Oh, yeah, that was it's like a candle in the wind. But yeah, that was we knew something like that was going to happen.
I didn't see that coming from a mile away.
Oh, really? I
not
knew
the entire building coming down.
Well,
oh,
I guess
on.
but I knew that there was going to be something big happen because of how they had spoken about how much stuff was there.
Well, I thought when Marjorie was trying to go for the door,
I didn't see Marjorie dying. I will say that.
Oh, did you see that big green puff of smoke and liquid? Yeah, that was Marjorie in there.
Yeah, but I didn't see her dying is what I mean. I thought that they were setting her up for something so much bigger.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. You didn't see her dying as far as her character's concerned.
Absolutely,
I got you. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you said you didn't. You still think she might still be alive. I was like, well, I tell you what, I didn't see that coming. I loved how it went down. But man, I wish the High Sparrow would have went out a different way. I would have liked for Circe to do something.
I read today that the director said that they didn't even want to have an image of anybody dying inside because of the budget that they had. It was such a tight budget to begin with because it was such a big episode. He directed the last 2 episodes, that director did. And he said that
is he going to be in next season? Because they released it.
No.
Darn it.
But they're bringing back like Alan Taylor and guys like that who did some season 1 and season 2 stuff.
They need to have this guy that did this
he
episode
needs to do
the
whole season.
Yeah,
because
I completely agree.
And that might be what they're thinking about doing with him. So that gives him a whole year basically to work on getting the final season ready to go, or at least do part of them or something like that. Because I think he's by far. I mean, there's been good episodes. Last year's White Walker battle. I mean, there's been some really good episodes, the Battle of Blackwater, but the last 2 episodes have...
I think, wouldn't we agree, though, the last 2 episodes have been the 2 best episodes in the history of Game of Thrones, directed by this guy?
they're 2 of the best hours of TV I've ever watched.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And okay, and I tell you what, if it's cool to talk about this, last week's episode versus this week's episode.
I mean...
Well, you and I had this debate here on which was better.
I like this week's episode maybe just a little bit better, but I mean, it's not like it's better as much as it's just different. Mm-hmm. I liked it because it actually brought some closure, and it really tied up a lot of stuff, but it also set up a lot of exciting things for next year, whereas last week was just basically about the battle, between the Battle of the Bastards, between Ramsay and Jon, which was really great, and it's probably the best battle scene ever depicted on TV, period.
Yeah.
But I mean, they both are a little bit different. But I mean, I don't know.
What was most entertaining to you, though? If you could pick one, which one?
I felt more on the edge of my seat last week.
Mm-hmm. But this week, like you said, was a good story.
It had more story to it.
Yeah. No, I agree with that completely. I think that's a good kind of summary of both of them. So go ahead. Yeah, we're talking about Circe and
so anyway, she's went bye-bye, and we'll pick up on her again a little bit later.
Bye-bye? I think she's completely in her mind.
She knows
exactly what's going on, and she is.
Regardless if she does or not, Jamie sure doesn't think so, and I was going to wait till later to talk about that. But I mean, guys, I'm going to tell you right now. When Jamie shows up and he sees her being coronated as the king, okay, he's not happy at all about it at all. I mean, you got to think about it. What's his name? What do people call him?
Well, yeah, he's the Kingslayer.
Why is he the Kingslayer? Why did he kill Aerys?
Well, he did it basically
why did he kill Aerys? Why did he...
Well, he did it for his family.
No. He killed Aerys because Aerys was going to burn everybody with wildfire.
I don't know that.
Yes, exactly. So that's why he killed Aerys, is because he said he's lost his mind. And so he kills him so that he doesn't burn all of King's Landing to the ground with wildfire.
Okay, see, maybe I do remember hearing something like that.
Well, what did Circe do?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And there's more in King's Landing, by the way. There's more wildfire. That wasn't all of it. It supposedly surrounds the whole outer rim of the city.
I see what you're saying, that maybe she's lost it. I get that. I just think Circe, from the very beginning of the show to up to this point, has had her motive, and she's had a directive to get to one spot, and that is to get on top of the throne. I mean, it was even predicted to her as a kid, your 3 kids are going to die. And I think it dawned on her, it was the last episode or the episode before that or whatever, that, okay, all my kids have to die in order for this to happen.
That's funny you say it, though, because that in there lies the little bit of, okay, if all 3 have to die, then why didn't she let Tommen go in the sept? Why did she keep him there? Did she just know that Tommen was going to just?
No. I definitely don't think she knew that.
Of course,
I don't think she. That's when I think she would have lost it. If she would have killed Tommen in order to get the throne, to me, that's when you lose it. I think circumstances continued on her priority of getting onto the throne. So she didn't want Tommen to die.
Speaking of which, King Tommen is gone bye-bye.
King's
literally. Yeah, I wrote that in there.
I know, that was great.
He commits suicide by jumping out of the window of the Red Keep, which, everybody's had fun with, giving new meaning to the word King's Landing.
That's great.
Which is great. Maybe that's what they meant all along. I don't know.
Do you think that was a good way for his character to go out?
Absolutely. I think it was, because Tommen was never right anyway. I mean, there was something weird about Tommen. He was the youngest of the kids, and if you really stop and think about it, Tommen, I mean, when you have an incestuous relationship, somebody's going to eventually have to not have all their marbles. Okay.
I don't know where you get these facts from when you have an incestuous. I don't know if you say that so matter of factly. When you're in a incestuous relationship.
Well, I mean,
these things happen.
I know people from Kentucky and Tennessee. So no, I'm just joke, guys, joke, because I'm from Tennessee. But no, seriously, I mean, you can't have an incestuous relationship and not expect to have something not right. And Tommen just never seemed right through the whole show. I mean, it's like, how can you be so stupid?
See, I don't think so. I think he was just straight up in love with Marjorie, and once she died, I think it was like, well, fine, I think he was a teenager reacting. It was a Romeo and Juliet.
Well,
moment.
he never. Yeah, and I've heard that called that too.
Really?
Romeo.
Darn it! I thought that was really creative to think of that.
Well, it was. I mean,
yeah, but somebody else did.
Well, I'm sure there was probably 35 million people watch this show. If
yeah, and
not
how many
more.
King's Landing memes were?
Yeah, King's Landing.
that was so smart though, King's Landing.
Oh yeah, beautiful. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe she is calculated, but I really think that for her to actually go to these depths and to kill that many people, you're not right.
And didn't that confirm though that this guy, by the way, her protector, her bodyguard, Kevin Costner, is the Mountain.
It is the Mountain, yeah.
Right. So what happened to him?
He died.
Well, how did he die? I don't remember.
He died in the battle with the guy from Dorne, Prince, whatever his name is. He got killed.
See, I thought he killed the prince from Dorne.
He did, but then he turned around and got killed as well.
See, I don't remember that. I'm drawing a blank on that.
And then that crazy mad scientist, that Victor
Frankenstein
that they've got, brought him back to Frankenstein.
It's Frankenstein.
Made him brought him back to life. He's like a zombie now or something. So I mean,
he's awesome. He's a pretty cool character.
I just wonder what he's going to do to that septon.
Well, he's gonna read stories. I think he's gonna get to know her. I think.
It's possible.
There's going to be a lot of emotional stuff going on in there, and a lot of physical stuff.
Yeah, I think that she's going to get to know him very well.
She's going to see what they call him,
the Mountain. All right, so, but another thing too, Cersei, she showed little remorse, okay, for both events. Obviously, she 100% knew that the Sept was going to be blown up. Mm-hmm. Okay, she knew that was going to happen, and
that was so awesome. Like, I think we've been overshadowed by all the cool stuff going on with the Starks and Jon and all that stuff. But like, we're really missing out. I mean, if she needs to be nominated for an Emmy, because she's really. We don't see it right now, but we're fixing to see the power of Cersei. We've not seen nothing yet.
Oh, definitely. I mean. I'll go ahead and just say this, even though we're going to have our predictions. One of my predictions for next season is that it may only be the 6-episode season, and it'll be just about her and trying to unite the Seven Kingdoms, and it'll be the war between her, Jon Snow, and Daenerys, more than likely. And then I think the last season will be 7 episodes, and it'll be but primarily fighting the White Walkers. And I think that Cersei will meet her end next season somehow, some way, but she has to die. So she has to go.
So do you think Jaime's finally got a heart? He's like the Tin Man. He's found a heart.
Jaime found a heart the day that he saved Brienne of Tarth from being raped.
Mm-hmm.
That's when he became. They humanized him that moment. He slowly progressed, but I don't think Jaime Lannister was ever an evil person. He's just a byproduct of his environment.
Yeah.
And his father was a toxic.
He's had the biggest evolution as a character.
I think nobody's evolved as a person
right.
on the show more than him. I mean, I actually like him. I think he'll end up being a hero. And
We'll get to that on predictions because
Yeah.
I've got some theories on that as well. So all right, so Cersei does her thing and she, kills everybody in the High Sparrow and yada yada yada, and Tommen goes down. So like, all right, before we go on, what do you got next? Let's hear. Because
all right. So anyway, moving on. All right, so let's go. And we're probably not going in order of the show, but
No,
this is
that's
just
fine.
how I wrote it down. So Jon is victorious, and he is proclaimed King of the North.
King of the North.
King of the North. All the houses in the North come to Winterfell, and it takes Lady Mormont, who by far has become
Gangsta.
straight up
She's
12-year-old
gangsta.
gangster. She stands up and reminds all the other remaining houses of the North.
But let me just tell you, like, if I'm in that meeting and, like, I'm just a straight up dude and this little girl's calling me out from all these dudes, she ain't even finishing her sentence. And when she's insulting me, I'm killing her. I'm taking her down right there. Because what, she got 60 people?
No, you're
How many-
not. You're
I
a
am
weenie.
taking her down.
You're a weenie.
You are dead, Mormont.
Let me tell you what, Lady Mormont's respected, son. Just because House Mormont is
She's respected with 60 people. I've got a whole fleet behind me.
it's not about the people, it's the house. The Mormont house has always been respected, I think. So I mean,
No, by the way, I do love her character.
yo,
she's
she's
awesome.
she's great.
The little girl is playing the character.
She should get an Emmy, or at least be. I mean, seriously. I mean, she makes it believable.
Yeah,
It's
she does a
like,
good
wow.
job. I don't know about Emmy. Three scenes. Come on.
They give Emmys out for worse stuff. So anyway,
That's true.
anyway, she stands up and she reminds them all that that House Mormont fought alongside the Starks and that the North will remember. Of course, then after that, basically they all swear allegiance to Jon, and they start calling him the White Wolf, and it's sort of a play on Brother Robb was being the young wolf, which makes sense because which by the way, I just want to bring that up. It's been kind of it's pretty obvious in the show. Where has Ghost been? They can't at least stick a CGI ghost over in the corner sitting by
know.
the fire or something.
I know. I've wondered that as well because, like, I love the wolves. The wolves are one of my favorite.
Now, I
parts.
did read that last week people were wondering why wasn't Ghost involved in the battle, and they said, well, it's either we have this huge battle with a giant in it, or we have this huge battle with a Ghost. But that was our two options, and so they chose the giant.
So before last week, they all got in the room. They said, "All right, guys, listen. I know this is the biggest battle we've ever had for in our lives, and we're all probably going to die. That being said, we only have so much money for CGI. Which are we bringing to battle?"
I mean, it's really that simple. They're having that conversation, drinking coffee or smoking cigars or something. I mean, they really are. Because, I read several years ago that on average it costs $6 million an episode to make Game of Thrones, okay? And these last two episodes didn't cost $6 million.
No.
I think a total of probably $25 to $30 million was spent on just these two episodes. So, just because the amount of people they had in it and the amount of special effects and just the scale and scope of them.
Did you hear of the ratings? Was it pretty sick on the ratings? I haven't heard that.
I don't even need to look. I know they were, and I didn't even look. I mean, it's got to be. I mean, Game of Thrones will win everything this year.
Let me ask you a question before we continue on with this. I brought this up with Nicole the other day. All right, so I'm trying not to get too off track, but the other day apparently there's going to be a Game of Thrones fan convention coming to Nashville next year. All right, so we went to the Walker Stalker fan convention. Do you think the same amount of fans would go to the Game of Thrones compared to the Walker Stalker? Because I don't think so. I think it's a different kind of fan. I mean,
Game of Thrones has more of your fan.
we're
People
Walking
watch-
Dead's so much more accessible.
People who don't watch Walking Dead watch Game of Thrones.
Right. And I think the same ones watch both of them. Don't get me wrong. You can be a fan of both.
Absolutely, but I think you're right. I think more people watch The Walking Dead for the genre that it is, and then people watch Game of Thrones because it's the hot thing to watch. And so people just watch it. And plus, the story in Game of Thrones is good enough. It's a lot better story in Game of Thrones versus Walking Dead. I'm going to say that right now.
And Game of Thrones
or vice versa, I mean.
And Game of Thrones is more fantasy, a soap opera. Where Walking Dead now, let's just be real, it's a soap opera with zombies in the background. Yeah. And I think that's why some people probably can't commit to Game of Thrones because it's like, well, I don't want to watch something with dragons and dwarves.
And not everybody has HBO.
Yeah.
Know, so.
And a lot of people don't dig, brothers and sisters doing it. So, I mean,
but then again. unless you're from Alabama. But roll tide.
Boom.
But yeah, now I think there'll still be plenty of people go to that.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, Nicole and I will definitely do that. I just wanted to get your opinion on the kind of fans.
Let me put it to you this way. I didn't care if I went to the Walker Stalker or not. I thought it'd be cool, but I was like, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I'd like to go to the Game of Thrones. So that tells you.
You just want to meet Daenerys.
No. I mean, I doubt she'd even be there.
Oh, I don't think so, because if you look at the first couple of years of The Walking Dead, they're trying to establish. Now, I don't know if I can say that, because they're nearing the end for Game of Thrones.
So they might be trying to build it up, yeah. And see, by the time it gets here next year, all right, by the time it gets here in July, I think of next year, season 7 has already aired.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And we'll have one more season left.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is they're going to be probably right in the middle of filming that said season 2. So, I mean, that's interesting, too. I'm just wondering if they'll have anybody.
Oh,
I think they'll have a lot of people who've died, like the Ramsey Boltons, and maybe they can get Sean.
Wouldn't you want to meet Ramsey, though?
I would love to meet Ramsey. I'd
awesome.
want to go up there and hug him and meet Joffrey, because they're not A-list actors. They're not even really B-list actors.
It's just meeting cool people from the show.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
Meet Hodor. He's over there in the corner. Since he's a DJ, he's over there, on the turntable, whoop, whoop, whoop. I'm Hodor.
Remix.
Hodor.
Okay.
Anyway,
so back to I didn't mean to get us off track.
Yeah,
there,
I'm running this tonight, so let's go.
I know, but I wanted to talk about that.
All right, so anyway, I'm just going to pick up on this real quick, just because I think he's going to be more prominent in the next 2 seasons, by far more prominent. And we can talk about him in our predictions if you want, but I just want to remind everybody that this happened. Littlefinger gets rejected once again by Sansa. He's basically wanting to marry her and take over the Iron Throne with her by his side. And she says, "Oh, that's nice thought, but get out of my face, you crazy Weasley little..."
That's a pretty picture.
Crazy man. It's a pretty picture. But... what I'll ask you now, and then you can just give me just a short answer if you want, is how huge of a player will he be down the road?
Oh, we've not seen nothing from Baelish yet.
I think that Baelish is going to be. I mean, he's the type of character that at the end of the day could surprise everybody and be on the Iron Throne. It's all said after everybody kills each other, he'll be the one that's left standing over in the corner going he, rubbing his hands together.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and make my early prediction now, because I know we got predictions later. I'm going to say somehow Ferris is going to have a way to find a way to kill Baelish, just because there's always been that dynamic.
That's true, and Varys can't stand Baelish now.
You're right, so, exactly. Yeah. So that's my early prediction. I know you wanted to wait, but I'm throwing that one.
No, that's cool, because I mean it's not a big, long, drawn out thing. Because like I said, we haven't seen much of him this year, other than the Knights of the Vale, and I mean, he's been in 3 episodes, I think, all year. So I mean, they've kind of kept.
But
him
he's
on the
definitely a prominent character, and he's
absolutely
he's not showed all of his cards just yet.
No, not yet. And I wrote this down. He never stopped scheming. And that's what's beautiful about his character, and that's what makes him fun, is that you never know what they're going to do with him.
Yeah.
Just that little smile he gave to Sansa. And this is, since we've already talked about him, I'll go ahead and tell you. I think, and I have read that this is pretty much fact, there was only 2 people at the time of Jon Snow's birth that knew that Jon Snow was the son of Rhaegar and Lyanna, and that was Ned Stark and Baelish. Baelish knew. And Baelish has always known, and he's always kept it in his back pocket. And that little smile when she basically rejected him and took Jon over him was saying, "Okay, that's fine. You've played your card. Now I'm about to pull my ace out of my sleeve." So
see, I think he was smiling at her, because the more I thought about it, you told me that. I think he's smiling at her to let her know that, see, they're behind him, not you. Yeah. And you're actually the queen of the North. And that's what I think that was about. I could be wrong on that, but I just think Baelish is trying to get, because he put that in her head when they were talking outside. I think he's trying to let her know, see, they don't have your back.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We'll see. To be continued.
All right, so moving on. So now let's go over to Slaver's Bay, which now is going to be called Dragon's Bay. Mm-hmm. Daenerys dumps her boyfriend. Heartbreak Hotel.
Cold-blooded.
Yeah, she was cold-blooded. And then she goes on and makes Tyrion the Hand of the Queen. And then it was funny because Tyrion has become his character's evolved a lot too. He tells her he admits that he believes in her, and that it's embarrassing for him to say that, because he's never believed in anything other than drinking and women. So I mean, that's the only two things he's ever believed in. But he actually really believes in Daenerys Targaryen. Her ships are now ready, as we find out, and so she sets sail for Westeros with her massive army. That's the Unsullied, and then the Dothraki, and then whatever Westeronians that she has. Mm-hmm. I think that's how you would say that, Westeronians.
Westeronians.
That sounds right.
Like Tennesseans.
Yeah, Tennesseans. There's a couple things about this. At that was like the very end of the episode.
That was the very end, yeah.
But it shows them on the narrow sea, and it's just the dragon swooping, and it was just this very grand, epic scene with all these ships.
Definitely the best way. You couldn't have ended the season with a better scene.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let me ask you this, though. There's no way they all make it there in one piece, right?
Nope. They've not seen the end.
No, it's never that tranquil and peaceful in Game of Thrones.
They've not seen the end of Theon and Mara's uncle.
Yeah.
That's coming.
I think that it's possible they lose half their men on the way to the narrow sea. He's just waiting out. Euron, I think is his name, yeah.
And I think also we're going to see a death of a dragon pretty soon, because they're not going to be able to go all the way with all three dragons. Because if they do, it's going to be complete dominance.
Yeah, that's true. We could see one, maybe it's Dragon. I don't know. Maybe the main one. I don't know. But probably not, since he's so big and powerful. But maybe one of the other ones.
But it would throw a monkey in the wrench if the biggest one is killed.
Gone, yeah. Also, we find out that somehow Lord Varys makes it from Slaver's Bay to Dorne in like a day or two. For some reason, he must have gotten transported.
Yeah, I know. I was wondering, how did that happen?
And I know they did some time jumps in the show. They did in this show. There was time jumps. I mean, Lady Tyrell knew that they was all dead. Just like that. So it shows that the show wasn't trying to be in any type of time frame order.
And by the way she shut down those daughters in Dorne. Oh, that was so awesome.
I was about to get there. He's in Dorne, and she shuts down the Sand Snakes. That's what they're referred to in the book as the Sand Snakes, because that's sort of like their version of a Snow, of a bastard child. They're all the bastard children of the prince. Mm-hmm. And anyway, she now is wanting an alliance with Dorne, and then she finds out, we're presuming that she's going to find out about Daenerys, and her army, because of Lord Varys being there. And she wants not vengeance, not revenge. She wants what Varys puts it as blood and fire for the deaths of her brother, granddaughter, and grandson. Basically, everything was taken from her in one fell swoop by Cersei, and she wants blood and fire, which is a better way of putting it as vengeance, but if I'm Lady Tyrell, I don't know if I trust anybody from Dorne. I don't think she trusts anybody, but you also got to figure now too, even she is still a person. And I mean, imagine if your whole family basically was, the future of your family was killed in one fell swoop, because her brother was there, and then her granddaughter and her grandson, all of the people that would take her place as being the head of Highgarden are gone now. So she's just...
That's really going to mess up her beneficiary thing, too, on the insurance.
I know. I mean, that's going to be tied up in probate court for years, I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah. Westeros court for years.
Yeah. No joke. Well, they're going to go to the Iron Bank and hammer it out there.
That's true.
Yeah, that's right. Also, one thing, too, I meant to bring this up, even though I wrote it later, I meant to bring it up earlier. Sansa notices that the White Raven, it looks like a dove to us, but they call it a White Raven, has showed up at Winterfell, so that does truly signify that winter is not coming anymore. It is definitely here.
Yeah, I love how they said that, and there's already 3 foot of snow on the ground.
Yeah, I mean it's always snowing up in Winterfell. I mean, it's called Winterfell, for goodness sake. So I
thought that was funny. Winter is here now. It's like,
winter is here.
You live in the north.
Yeah.
You've seen lots of winters.
No joke, man. It's like, what are you guys talking about? My last little thing here, I just got a few little bits to hit on, some minor things that happened. So I'll go through this real quick, and then you can tell me your thoughts or just interrupt me.
Do your thing.
Davos tells Jon about Princess Shireen's death after he finds the stag that he had, the deer, if you don't know what a stag is, that was, he called.
What'd you say? Oh, stag.
Stag,
okay,
yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. Anyway, he finds the burnt stag last week, and then he confronts Melisandre in front of Jon and tells her that she needs to be executed for murder.
Dun, dun, dun.
But instead of having her executed, Jon just banishes her from Winterfell, sends her south, and tells her that if she ever comes back, that he will have her executed as a murderer. My question here for you is real quick: is do you think we're going to see her again?
Oh yeah, I think she's still got a part to play. But I'll say that I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see her again as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
it can go either way with that. But Davos, that would almost end Davos's storyline. He's going to run into her again, and I think he will get his revenge.
I think he will too. I think he will end up killing her somehow. They may kill each other. Who knows? But that's a good prediction. I could see that because he's got no reason to live anyway. Not now. No. Now another prediction I've heard is that could Davos, after the war is over with,
Davos is the Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, Davos is the Song of Ice and Fire.
All along.
Well, if they ever need a new Night's, if they're still going to keep a Night's Watch, could he be the new Lord Commander of the Night's Watch? I could see him being that type of person. He's developed more of a leader type ability as the shows went on anyway.
I could also see him being a hand to Jon Snow as well, though.
That's possible. Yeah, that's what he's doing right now anyway.
Basically, right.
Yeah. So anyway,
he just don't have the cool pen like Tyrion just got.
Exactly. Yeah. so the mad scientist, the Frankenstein guy, is the hand to Cersei.
Go ahead.
In America, we say Frankenstein.
It's Frankenstein.
And Tyrion, he's the hand to Daenerys, and now technically Davos is the hand to Jon Snow. So even though they don't, in the North, they don't care about those technicalities.
Yeah, right. There's no labels. We don't label people.
Well, I mean, Ned didn't want to be the hand of the king. He was upset about becoming hand of the king. He's like, I don't want to do that.
Wouldn't that be great? He's like, Davos is like, look, Jon, I don't mean to bring this up, but it'd be nice to have a little bit of a title. We don't do labels here. Look, Davos. Oh, here it is. This is Jon Snow.
I've died already. We don't need to have a hand of the king because I am the king of the North and I don't need anything else. I have a big white dog and I have a redheaded sister who I may marry. So shut up.
I know they keep looking at each other.
I'm telling you, man, there's something there. Because now it wouldn't be his sister; it'd just be his cousin.
I think that may be set in
That's
Tennessee
a little bit better.
Somewhere. That may be set in one of the counties here in Tennessee. It's not really. At the end of the day, it's not even Winterfell. It's probably like, I don't know, Van Buren County or something.
If anybody's in Jackson County and you get a marriage certificate, somebody comes in for a marriage certificate and it's Sansa and John, you need to let us know. Call or contact the Nerdy Harry channel immediately. Okay, moving on from that.
Okay.
So another thing, Sam and Gilly and the baby, whatever its name is, Sam, I guess, too. They arrive at the, whatever it's called, but whatever the city is, but it's the Maester's Library. This is a storyline that I know is leading somewhere, but gosh, it feels like it's just a waste of time more than any other. Well, you would.
I like it.
You
would. Of course, man.
You would.
Sam is going to be, like you said, Sam has an important part to play. Now, I don't think it's going to have anything to do with Jon Snow. I think it's going to have to do with the Knights, the Wall. I think he's going back there, and I think he's going to be like a big deal. I think Sam's going to be one of the ones that actually makes it to the end. And what would be great is if he goes back and he's actually king of where his dad's castle is. Oh, that'd be so great. His dad
that would be
killed.
Good because he's probably going to die. Because the White Walkers are going to come through the wall somehow, some way, and I'll get on that in a minute. But I guess my question is, and you just answered that. One thing is he's there to learn basically how to be a maester, but he's going to learn how to actually defeat the White Walkers. Okay, he's going to learn all that old history that people have forgotten. I mean, basically, he's walked into the Library of Alexandria. If you're a history person, that was supposedly the grandest library in all the world that was in Alexandria, Egypt, that was burnt. And scholars and historians think that so much of the world's history was lost in one fell swoop that it set us back thousands of years, guys. I mean, and you could argue that because they're so, well, how do they know? Well, it's because they still have scriptures and literature from those time periods that wasn't in the library that was just still out there. Because, I mean, it's not like every book and only one book of every book was ever in that library. So they're thinking if there was so much more, how much more knowledge was there? Because, I mean, if you look at ancient history, I mean, the ancient Greeks, Egyptians, the Romans, of course, this was during the ancient Greek time more than anything. They were amazing and brilliant in how they did things. So, I mean, he's kind of walked into that type of scene where all the world's knowledge is at his fingertips now. Everything that could be known, he's there to try to figure out how to defeat the White Walkers. Is he going to? And is that going to make him more relevant in the final episodes, which you agreed just a minute ago?
And join us next week, folks, when Joey will be talking about the history of the library continued.
You guys really don't want to know all the things that I know.
No, I think, all right, here's my prediction about Sam. I'm taking back everything what I just said about him going back to the wall. Here's my prediction. You ready? Sam actually decides that he loves Gilly more than he loves wanting to be a maester. Decides not to be a maester, but he does find out how to kill the White Walkers. At some point, he's going to end up being the king of the castle where his dad rules. And that's what's going to happen. Boom! Mark it right here. You heard it on the Nerdy Harry channel. That's right. Mic drop.
So anyway, moving on. We got crazy predictions here about Gilly and Sam.
I'm telling you. See, you just don't think they're important. They're important.
They're not that important. I think he will be, though. Final thing I'm going to touch on before we get into our, what we think is going to happen next year is, or in the next 2 seasons, since it's only 13 episodes. So we see Bran, and he wargs into one of the old trees, okay? And he finally finishes up that scene at the Tower of Joy where Ned feels his presence for that split second.
There's not a lot of joy in that tower, though.
There's not a lot of joy in that tower.
There's a lot of blood in that tower, but there's no...
a lot, like, exactly. But anyway, this is where the big reveal happens, but what I'm getting at with this is that, he sees his father and his aunt. He actually knows that Jon is not his brother, but actually his cousin. Mm-hmm. And now the question is he going to go tell Jon? Is he going to go to Winterfell? Or is he going to stay north of the wall? If he does go south of the wall, is Bran the reason that the wall falls? Because we hear from his uncle, when he drops him off, I can't go south of the wall because of the magic. He says it wasn't just built by giants. It's also held up by magic, and that's why it's kept everyone up here out all these years. Now, remember, that is what, when the Night's King marked him when he was in that little time travel warg that he did, and the Night's King grabbed him, that's how they got in and killed everybody. Well, that means that he's still marked. If he goes south of the wall, is he the reason that the White Walkers come south?
Okay, so what's going to happen is the wall's going to come down.
But how?
I don't know, but it's going to come down because the point of the wall, excuse me, the point of the wall basically is to separate and to protect the land from all what's on that side, okay? And I think Bran's probably going to have something to do with it. I think his power is on a whole nother level. I'll go as far to say is that Bran is the most important character on this show.
I think so, yeah. I 99.999% agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's been kind of shafted on the storyline the past couple of seasons. The next 2 seasons, especially probably the last season, is that's where we're going to see Bran and the power that he's got coming his way to him. So yeah, I think the wall's coming down. And I could be wrong though. I don't know.
I've read a cool fan theory today, and of course this is just a fan theory, but that supposedly this person has kind of worked it out that man did not build the wall. It was actually the White Walkers that killed. Why do I keep saying kill?
What is on your mind?
Well, it's Game of Thrones. That's what happens. Everybody dies. But
I'm kind of a little worried to be in this basement right now.
I know. It's the White Walkers that actually built the wall to separate them from the Southerners. And I'm like, but this was thousands and millennia before where we're at now. So no one realizes that anymore. And the story was told that, no, man, we built this, And so the Southerners are the ones that adopt the legend of how the wall was built, when in fact it was the actual White Walkers that built the wall. I don't know, but Because you
that's
remember,
interesting.
the White Walkers, why were they created? By the children of the forest. To protect them from man. Which would make sense of why
now that
the
makes
wall
sense.
was built by the White Walkers as well.
Yeah.
But,
All in
I mean,
all, we're
who
just
knows?
another brick in the wall, anyways.
That's exactly right. So anyway, that's the finale, guys. Great show. Last 2 weeks have been excellent.
Best season ever?
Best season ever. I don't argue that one single bit. Because their past seasons, they could have taken out 2 or 3 episodes and it wouldn't have mattered that much.
Every episode's been important this year, except for maybe one. There was one
that felt just kind of like.
I think it was episode 6 or something. But
Yeah.
every episode's been very important this year. This has been my favorite season by far.
So anyway, let's finish this thing up, man, so people can go to bed because we've been talking for about an hour now.
We can talk as long as you want, man. I mean, probably people could listen to this in the morning. I know Eric.
They could be going to work or something like that. Yeah.
Of course, they could be going to sleep when it's talking.
That is very true. Predictions for next year. I'll let you start.
Predictions for next year. We've got.
Let's just say predictions for how it's going to end.
Oh, okay. Predictions for how it's going to end. Cersei's going to die. Cersei has to die in order for Daenerys to take over the throne. I think Daenerys will take over the throne. I think the end of next year we'll see the union of Daenerys, the throne, and Jon Snow and Sansa with Winterfell, because the last season. The White Walkers is going to be the big battle. I think that's what next season is about, getting the throne and who's really, truly supposed to have it. I think we're going to see the death of Cersei. I would have liked to have seen a little more on Brienne. I hope everything's going good with her. And the Hound. We only got like one little snippet of the Hound.
I didn't bring that up, but yeah, the Hound was even in this week's episode.
Yeah, but it's.
And I didn't talk about Arya either.
I know.
Well, that's all right. That's why we're talking.
That's true. That's true. I want to talk about that.
I knew I forgot one thing that happened.
That's one of my favorite moments of the season.
It was. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I hate that old guy. He does such a good job.
Tell everybody what we're talking about.
Okay, so we're setting it up here where we're at the Freys. The Lannisters are at Jaime and his army is at the Freys now, and they're celebrating. Basically, that they're rocking and rolling, doing a great job, and patting each other on the backs. And of course, Jaime's that's where you start to see Jaime's heart a little bit. That I'm just kind of done with all this. You keep patting your own back. But anyways, to get to the point, what is his first name? Frey.
Walder.
Thank you, Walder. Frey is by himself at the table, and of course the maid who was flirting with Jaime earlier is serving him some food. Well, I say food, but I guess I meant to say his sons.
Yeah.
Gross. But anyways, so he's serving him some food, and I gotta tell you, I didn't see that coming from a mile away. I did no idea that was going to be Arya. So reveal, she actually cuts Walder Frey's throat, and she pulls off her Frey and then cuts his throat, right? I think she does that first, right?
And then she pulls off her face,
mm-hmm.
and then she cuts his throat. She says, I always said, or I told you, is that what she said?
No, she said, my name is Arya Stark.
And the last thing you're going to see when you die is a Stark smiling.
Ah,
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That was so awesome. Definitely one of my favorite moments of all time, and that also is signifying that Arya is getting closer to her sister and cousin.
Exactly, and she's back in Westeros now. We know that, so that means her list, which is the Hound, even though she doesn't know the Hound is not dead. I think the Hound's going to become more of a heroic figure.
I think so too, and I think she's going to pull him off the list. I think her list is going to be bleh, at some point.
I think her list is basically Cersei, and that's it. And she may be the one that actually ends up doing Cersei in. Or it could be Jaime. It could be both. I don't know, but in some form or fashion.
I could see Jaime being the one doing it. But as far as next season's concerned, I just think we're going to see the death of Cersei. It's all going to be about the throne. I think that's what next season's going to be about.
And that's kind of where I'm at too. And then I think the final season will be about the White Walkers and saving everybody.
And that's the season I want to get to.
Yeah,
I'm okay with skipping all this throne.
And that's why another thing too. I think that's why season 7 will be the shorter season of, because they can't be even, obviously, and the math doesn't work. So I think this next season may be the 6th season. because that's not as big of a story as fighting the White Walkers. Probably will be.
But I think writers work in a different way. I think next season is going to be the longer season,
Possibly.
because they understand that. Look, that last season is going to cost a lot of money for that battle, and so I could see.
I think that battle lasts more than one episode, though. I think that's a 3-episode battle, just because of how many White Walkers and how many houses are going to have to band together to go fight it. So I don't see this being. I mean, we think that the battle we just saw last week was grand. You just wait.
Yeah, we
you
ain't
just
seen
wait.
nothing yet.
I think it's a 2 or 3 episode battle.
And then let's not forget, we also have a really big battle coming towards King's Landing with Daenerys and her crew.
Absolutely, that's going to be a war in itself. So,
what other thought? You got any other thoughts as far as?
I just think the last 13 episodes are going to be epic, and you hit on a lot of things that I would have predicted as well. Of course, we've kind of talked about with each other already, and we've already hit on some of the stuff during tonight's podcast. So, nothing else that comes to mind at this moment.
I'm looking forward to next season. I thought this was like, I'm going to say it again. This season was the best season. I don't know. It's
going to be a long year, no doubt about it.
I think you're going to see next year. I could see some people dying that we really like. I think they were really nice to us this year. I don't know that that's going to happen next year. I think there has to be a up and down. There has to be some bad before all the good's going to happen, because the good is the White Walkers are going to lose.
Exactly.
The bad is you're going to lose some people even before that battle even starts.
Absolutely.
So, and I could see Arya being a casualty of all that. But I think Bran is going to be the one that's going to probably make it to the Jon. And, I don't know. We'll see with Sansa as well. Baelish. Who knows?
I think that ultimately Daenerys does get the throne. I think Jon has a way of helping her in that too, somehow, some way. And this is one. It's not a prediction. It's just something I wish would happen, just because I think it's such a cool storyline if they could just find a way to make it work. But I don't think they will be able to now. Is to have Lady Stoneheart come in for just 2 or 3, 4 episodes.
I don't know how. You're right. I don't know how it's going to happen now, but it would be.
How can they do it though? How can they have their mother come back for just 2 or 3 episodes and then she's gone? It's like, but I just don't think they can establish that now.
Well, we don't think that, but we also don't write for HBO, Game of Thrones, so they
absolutely so.
They're the ones that's making the big bucks to figure that out. You know what? We're going to have a little fun here, Joey. So we talked about this before we were going to do this podcast. I sent you a video of a guy doing some impressions. And you, unfortunately, sent me a text back saying...
when I said we can do it too. Hello, I'm Kermit the Frog.
So now it's impression time. So here's what you have to do. You have to pick a character specifically from Game of Thrones, because this is our Game of Thrones podcast. Now, folks, let us just tell you right now, this is going to be pitiful. This is going to be sad on so many levels, but it's going to be fun because I just want to hear Joey do some impressions of some Game of Thrones characters. So before you do the impression, all right, let's say it's kind of like a challenge. You got to throw an impression out there, say a name, and then I got to see if I can match it. All right?
Okay.
All right, so go first.
I'm going to do Ghost. Woof, woof.
All right, this is my ghost. This is Anthony. Oh.
That might have been better, actually. Bravo.
Mic drop. Okay. All right, bring it. What do you got next?
I said I could probably do Lord Varys a little bit, Yes, I am Varys, and I am here to talk to Tyrion Lannister. I'm going to break you out of jail now, and I'm going to take you across the narrow sea. You're going to owe me your life. I don't know if he ever said anything like that on the show, but that is sort of a foreshadowing him busting him out of jail.
He goes gangster.
He does go gangster.
I like that. That's okay. So you challenge me with Varys. Oh gosh, this is going to be hard. Yes, my little birds tell me that I have some knowledge that maybe all of you don't have. It just sucks. Go ahead.
Yeah, you didn't do a very good job, but that's all right. It's good. It's a good.
You barked for wolf.
I did. Hey, it worked. Hey, that's probably the best one I'll do all night. I'll do one more. Let me see here. Who could I do?
No. I want to hear your Jon Snow.
My Jon Snow. Okay.
You broke it out earlier, but I want to see.
Yeah, well, the problem is he's got that Northern Irish accent that's really hard to replicate. Right. And I think if you can do that, then you can do his voice. I don't think his voice is hard as much as his accent. But Let me see here.
Just take a second. It's okay. You got this.
He's like, I'm not the Lord Commander anymore. You're the Lord Commander now. My watch is over. There you go. That's terrible, but yeah.
I love that.
I was trying to think of one scene that was kind of what he would have said.
I'm a doctor. It sounded like the guy from Star Trek.
I'm a Dr. Jim. Damn it.
That's where I thought you were going. All right.
I'm not an electrician, Jim. I'm a doctor. So I can do Bones a lot better.
There you go, Bones. All right. Let me try my Jon Snow. Oh, wow. This is going to be hard. Knights of the Watch, my father sent me here to look after you. Winter is coming. See, I suck. Go ahead. All right. We both suck that. All right. So let's do this one because I want to hear your Baelish. I want to hear your Baelish.
Okay.
All right. So think about it for a second. I challenge you to Baelish. Wow. That was kind of a Jon Snow right there.
Yeah, it was a little bit.
I challenge you.
Hello, Sansa. No, I can't do it. I can't do it because he's got a little bit different voice.
Just feel it, Joey. Feel your Baelish.
Sansa, now that I have the Knights of the Vale, I am going to marry you, and you're going to stand by me in the Iron Throne. You know, I mean, he's got that really deep accent, Irish accent almost, I think.
I love how you went Spanish.
I know it. I was more of a, hello, my name is Ricardo Montalban.
It's like if Antonio Banderas played
I am Antonio Banderas, and I am here to put a Z on your chest. Yeah.
All right, so Baelish. All right, let me see if I can do Baelish here. All right. Let's see. Sansa, I can't believe he did those things to you. Ramsay, I didn't know he'd do those things to you. Because I wanted to do those things to you. That's all I got.
That's probably the best one you've done all night.
Oh, man. Joey, here's my impression of Wolf.
Yeah.
Hey, let's see. Do we have any more? Oh, I'm so mad I couldn't do Jon Snow better because Jon's so cool, and you got to do Jon Snow.
Jon's hard, man.
Knights of the Watch, we've got to stand together. Winter is coming.
He has sort of a soft voice.
Yeah, he's trying to be loud, but he's like not loud.
Yeah.
Sam, I want you to know, I care for you, and you do what you need to do, Sam. I got nothing.
I could do that one guy, the wildling, maybe.
What's his name?
You've got your Valyrian steel sword. He's like, but only sword I need is in my pants. Because every joke he makes is about his penis. So, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, yeah, it's vulgar, guys, I know, but you don't lie. You all crack up every time he busts it out. It's perfect. It's definitely mic drop time every time he busts one out.
I can't do him. That was really... Because I can't hear him in my head.
He's also... have you noticed he's on those commercials for, like, the hotel chain or something? For like one of the like Hampton Inn or something.
Yeah.
That blows my mind that he's doing that, and he's also playing this really vulgar character on Game of Thrones.
So true.
Cracks, and he's funny in both of them. You know, I mean, it's hilarious.
Oh wow, we just made complete fools of ourselves, but that was pretty fun.
That's what we're here to do. I mean, you know, but
oh gosh, this was fun. This was, I hate that we got such a late start on our Game of Thrones specials, but I really enjoyed doing these. I'm looking forward to next season, and I think we should continue to do this, do special Game of Thrones episodes. If anything, just for us to listen to. I enjoy doing this. This is fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good way for us to vent.
We're going to talk about it anyway, so we might as well just talk about it and record it. But hopefully next year we can do all 6 or 7, however they do. We'll continue with The Walking Dead, obviously, and now that we're a little more established in doing this. If we can't even do it every week, guys, we'll still at least do it every other week, and we'll keep everybody caught up on what's going on. And and there's going to be some times where maybe doing it every 2 weeks is better because, especially with The Walking Dead, sometimes nothing happens for a couple of weeks. So, I mean, it's like,
true.
So last week's episode was kind of crappy, but let's go ahead and talk about it for an hour anyway. When maybe combining them into two into one episode would be.
Okay, all right, before we wrap it up then, Joey, who is the winner of Season 6 for Game of Thrones?
House Stark.
Ooh, good answer. I'm gonna say the winner for season 6, Jon Snow. Jon Snow was the winner this year for me personally.
I mean, I just used everybody. I consider him part of House Stark, even though he's been revealed to be a Targaryen too.
Okay,
but no, I totally agree. You can pick a person
yeah,
too. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Loser of season 6, who had
by far, and it's a tie for me because they're both vile creatures that I'm glad are gone for different reasons. Is Ramsay Bolton and the High Sparrow of the Sept. And it's not because he's religious, guys. It's because he was a vile creature, and I just don't like manipulators. And he definitely was a master manipulator.
Okay, good answer. I'm going to go with Tommen. Tommen had the worst season ever because he became king, not for long. His mom was still trying to run the show, and he then thought he, had his wife and he got his groove on, and then,
I didn't
he
think
lost
about
her.
that because he never got to, what's the word?
Be careful. Be careful, kids listening.
Yeah, that's true. But he never got to basically finish off that whole marriage contract with Marjorie.
Yeah, so I'm going to say Tommen is my loser. Okay, who was your favorite character of the season?
Oh, yeah, Jon Snow was my favorite character.
I'm going to go on the other side with this because Jon would be my favorite, but I don't want to do the same answer as you. I'm going to say Ramsay was my favorite character of the season.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I mean, he's going into last year and this year, Ramsay's character.
Nobody thought Joffrey could be the worst, could beat Joffrey at being a bad guy.
Joffrey was different than Ramsay, but Ramsay was just sadistic, where Joffrey was just a spoiled little brat.
But didn't you think like when Joffrey was on there, you thought, man, nobody can be worse than this guy?
And from what I've been told, because again, I've not read the books, I know you haven't either. Ramsay's not that big of a character in the books, but the guy playing him did such a good job with Ramsay that we have to make him more of a character.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way, we need to squeeze every ounce of what we can get out of this guy.
Yeah.
And they did.
And I'm glad they did. And because, like I said, he ended up as sadistic as he is, as mean and cruel as he is. Even his death was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
He was just my favorite character of the season. So, Joey, go ahead and wrap it up.
All right, man. So
I did the music background for you.
Yeah, is it going right now? Here's the music. Yeah. I mean, guys, I'm just looking forward to it. We'll get back in the next week or two, and we'll get back to other stuff. I'm looking forward to going and watching, even though I'm a little hesitant to say this. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing Star Trek Beyond. I want to see what they're going to do with the storyline, because this last trailer that came out the other day, which we weren't going to talk about all this stuff tonight, but I will say this: they released the final trailer with the new Rihanna song, Sledgehammer or something. But it's actually kind of cool because I found out that Rihanna's a huge Star Trek fan, and if you listen to the actual song, it actually sounds like the old school Star Trek song from the 60s with some of her lyrics and the way that the music's played in it.
Ella. Sorry, Umbrella.
No, I know, but I mean, I had to go back and listen to it, and I was like, oh, it does kind of mimic that old,
That's relaxing. Keep playing that. Okay, back off.
But I mean, that's what I mean by that. And I thought that's kind of cool. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do with this, just because I really want Star Trek to succeed. And
Star Trek, it doesn't matter if they succeed. They'll always be around. So we're
that's true.
All right. So I guess that's it, Joey. You want to... Hey, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. We know we went long, but thank you so much. And Joey, wrap us up.
All right, man. Guys, thank you for coming and not being in our basement tonight as we record this. But we do appreciate you for sharing this with your friends, listening to it for the entirety, because we do say a lot of cool things. So if you did, thank you. And that's all I've got. Stay nerdy.
See ya.